So I have a bit of an announcement to share with you all.
What's the crack? How are we getting on? So it's been a while since I've been on the L YouTubes. Where have I been? I've been getting leaner. That's what I've been doing. So we just wrapped up a dieting phase there in like the last week or so. The last few videos that you will have seen was I was coming towards the end of the book. I was doing my competition with abs. I was kind of teetering around the kind of ballpark of 98 to 100 kilos. Did get up to 100 kilos for a few weeks. Wasn't too happy with how I was looking at that point. Post competition, decided to do a diet, and now I'm after getting a little bit leaner. Anyway, I'm going to throw up the round of posing that I did this morning just before I went out on my walk. So yeah, what are we going to do across these next few videos? No, I'm going to commit again to just vlogging, picking up the camera, because I do like making these, and yeah, they force me to think a little bit more, study a little bit more, provide a little bit more value. So today I'm starting a new training block. The last training block that I did went unbelievably, like considering I was dieting. So I went from 98 kilos down to 92. I'm about 92 kilos now, and my squat blew up. So hit 220 for 8 on squats, which is the most I've ever done on squat for reps. So for context, in October my rep max with 220 was 5 reps. So to do it for 8 at the end of the diet after a loss of pretty much 6 kilos is pretty damn cool. I definitely find it impressive anyway. So we're going to start a new training block, and this is going to be in the sequence of leading up to my next competition at the end of October. So it's July now, or June now, so there's a long time before then. Lots of travel, lots of things happening in between then, so we're just going to document the journey. Anyway, I'm having my breakfast now. Not much has really changed. Bacon and eggs, tomatoes, mushrooms. Main adjustments I've been making to my diet I'll go through today. So this is breakfast part 1. I'll show you breakfast part 2 once I'm done. Part 2 sees the return of the oats. Chopped almonds, some raspberries and honey. Actually, one thing I've been doing slightly different with these, because it is hot as fuck here, so I'm obviously not going to have these like warm. What I've been doing is I've been cooking them in the microwave with a bit of flavour drops as well, and then throw it in the freezer, and until it kind of gets this like kind of pudding like consistency. Even there, it's nice and cold now, and it goes down a treat. It's like dessert for breakfast. Alright, so the plan today on squats is 4 sets of 5. We're starting off, and we're going to be doing ramping sets. So the last block of squats was extremely tough. John had me working up to a set of 8 reps and 8 RPE. Keep the same weight on the bar, and then just aim to work up to around the 7 RPE, and maybe aim to drop maybe like 1 or 2 reps. It was really fucking challenging, especially on the last week. This block is going to be a little bit easier. We're working up to sets of 5. We're going to be doing ascending sets. So we're going to be doing a set of 5 at 4, or a set of 5 at 5, at 6, at 7, and then we're going to repeat the set at 7 for 2 sets. So today, I don't know, I might work up to something like 210. I did squat for the first time in like a week on Thursday. I felt very rusty after a music festival at the weekend where, you know, not getting much sleep and not having my recovery on point. So we'll see what's there today. I'm not overly concerned about where we're starting this block off on, because the last block ended really tough. I want to pace myself nicely on squats this block, because the last block I did it really well. Not so much in deadlift or bench. So, you know, it's the start of the block, so it doesn't really matter where we start, it matters where we end. My God, I am in shock. I was expecting squats to not feel too good today, but I wasn't expecting them to feel that bad. So on the program was 212 for 2 sets of 5 at 7. I felt like 2 of 7 was a good call. As you can see, way higher than I anticipated. So for the final set, dropped down to 200. It feels like I've forgotten how to squat. So it took 7 days off training. This is going to my friend's stag. So last training day was the previous Thursday. Went to the festival. You know how it is at festivals. Or maybe you don't. Low sleep, damaging your body in unimaginable ways. And then got back to the gym Thursday just gone. Did a squat session. Felt a little bit off kilter, but I knew the first one was going to feel a little bit crappy. So then coming in to do this one, I wasn't expecting strength to have gone down as much. Well, strength maybe, but skill is the thing. Even, you know, the familiar feeling when you're getting underneath the bar, you're setting the bar on your back, feeling it like just sit on that shelf. Wasn't quite getting that like wedging sensation of like your feet pressed into the floor as you're about to like pop up at the knees and pop up at the hips as you're unracking it. Wasn't quite getting that. Could also be down to some of the weight loss. So since I last squatted, I'm down like over a kilo. So that could be that too. But look, I'm not too worried. It's the start of the block. It is what it is. The main thing next week is just kind of have to keep this weight the exact same and do it and move it better. Anyway, we're at the bench now, and hopefully that goes a little bit better, but I can't say my hopes are too high after the squats are gone, because the last block, squats were the one lift that were feeling amazing, and then the other two were not. So let's hope this is not the start of a bad omen. So as mentioned in the last clip, bench in the last block is probably like the worst block of benching I've ever had. So we started the block out at 135 for 5, and we ended the block on 135 for 5. So first week felt grand, went up the second week. That didn't feel too good, went down again the next week, or kept the weight the same, and then reps essentially ended up like starting to drop. And it just got worse as my like body weight began to change. And one thing that like myself and John were like, I suppose, discussing in my check-in was, how come squat continued to progress but bench just dipped? And like my kind of theory behind it is, when it comes to benching, so much of your performance on it is going to be dictated by feel and proprioception, and your contact points make a profound difference to how you're performing a lift. So say for example, when I'm doing a squat, the only real kind of difference is like the bar across my back, and maybe like losing a little bit of kind of padding from the body fat. Not a huge amount of kind of fat is really changing around the kind of leg, or like, you know, that kind of like contact point between your hamstring and your calf when you're dieting down as like much as I did. But definitely across like upper body areas, and maybe across my glutes, because I store a lot of fat in my glutes, those areas are going to start to decrease. So when I think about our bench setup, your glutes are providing a decent amount of height to your arch. The amount of fat on your upper back, that's providing more padding and more stability. If you think about, if you ever benched on like a Thompson fat pad versus one of these, they feel completely different, because the Thompson fat pad is wider and it's thicker, so it has more surface area. You feel more stable on it. And that's kind of the same when you lose body fat off like your upper back, you're going to feel less stable. You're also going to end up like increasing the range of motion, because now the bar needs to travel a greater distance to end up touching your chest. So all of these things combined, so the arch height decreasing from your hips, the back fat decreasing from your back, chest fat decreasing, range of motion increasing. These are all going to impact your performance on the bench press. And why we see when people gain weight, their bench press tends to respond the best, but when they lose weight, it tends to be the one that stalls or regresses. Squats, up to a point, can remain pretty stable, and I'd say if there's one lift to actually be helped by being a little bit leaner, it's probably deadlifts. because it's all about leverages when it does come to deadlifts and how efficiently you get yourself into that kind of bottom position. You'll see a lot of guys in like the super heavyweight classes or like 120 plus classes, their gut just gets in the way of them being able to pick the bar up off the floor. So yeah, that's kind of like my theory behind it anyway. So if you have a different one, I'd be interested to hear. So leave it in the comments. But anyway, I'm going to get into my sets of benching here. And yeah, look, I'm starting to gain weight from here on in. So bench can only get better. Another exercise that is not going too well. Pendulum, 80 kilos at it for 6 reps. Before I went 87 for 8, and I have done 80 for 12. So it just goes to show how fickle your performance can be, but also it highlights the importance of not taking too long off, and when you do take some time off, definitely not be engaging in, like, complete debauchery. And this is like one of the reasons why I love going to festivals. I love going on big nights out with my friends and I can live up, but I love how training feels when it's going well. You're making you just have such good momentum behind you. You're hitting PBs and you're just you're crushing it, because ultimately, right, it's so much more fulfilling getting into the gym and seeking your top performances and kind of hitting these milestones that you never thought would be possible. They're hard to achieve and they take a lot of work and a lot of effort. Going out at the weekend, going to a festival, they're fun, but they're very easy to do. And while they're fulfilling in their own way, this shift to me is so much more fulfilling. And I feel better about myself too when I do it, which is why I don't go out nearly as much as I did when I was in my early 20s. And when I was in my early 20s, that's also when I found it the most difficult to actually make consistent progress, because I was going out so frequently. I was going to, during the summer, I go to pretty much a festival a month. If I was to feel like I felt like this week at least once a month, I get nowhere in life. I get nowhere in the gym. I get nowhere in my business. I had to take an entire week off work this week just to recover. I can't do that. I'm self-employed. So, if you're looking to get ahead in life, if you're looking to get ahead in the gym, and you're going out partying a lot, you need to kind of reassess that, because it could be one thing that's holding you back. It definitely was something that held me back for a long time. I didn't start competing for a long time because I was partying. I was like, all right, I'm gonna compete next month or the month after, and then something will pop up, some bit of development will pop up, and I'd do that, and I just kept saying next one, and I put it off for years. I think I got the initial idea of competing maybe in 2015. I didn't compete until 2019. How much further along in powerlifting would it be now if I did that? But then again, they were very enjoyable years at the same time, so it's not as if it was time poorly spent, just a different time in life. And through a different stage in life, you're always going to have something different that you want to focus on. And for right now, obviously you've got some big life events coming up within my friend groups, but I want to also try to chase being the best athlete I can be. They say you have until you're 35 to your peak in powerlifting, so I've got 5 years left. So I want to try and milk those 5 years for all they're worth. Anyway, I'm going to get into this back offset here. I'm going to just drop down to 70. Hopefully get between 8 to 12. Let's see how we get on. So one thing you'll notice me doing on these is when I'm actually setting up, was anchoring my body weight kind of behind myself, more so standing directly up tall. Reason for that being is if I'm just to start my push down from here, then you're going to see that my arm is pretty much already at this kind of 90-degree angle. When you're kind of pushing down this way and the actual cable just like running straight down, this portion here is where you're going to be the strongest. You're going to be a little bit weaker here. However, the tricep is going to be a lot more stretched in this position. So by actually anchoring myself behind, like here, I'm going to get a lot more kind of elbow bend here. So I'm getting a lot more tension into the tricep as it is stretched, versus if I just stand up straight and pretty much just doing a half rep. Going to be lifting a lot of load. We're going to be getting essentially half the amount of tension through the triceps. So that's why I'm setting up a little bit behind, anchoring my weight behind it. Thinking about almost having a rod completely through my body and through my elbows to keep them in place, and using my lats to keep them against my side versus having them being pulled forward, right? Because like that's another thing you have to consider is your lats are essentially kind of keeping your shoulders here in extension and your arm close to your body. So you want to have those contracted. So I'll go through my set here, be able to see what I'm kind of getting at. So again, just shifting a lot of my weight behind me, elbows glued to my side, a lot of elbow bend here, and just basically from here, just driving down, shoot it back of the palm, and control the way up, making sure I'm not letting those elbows come forward. The moment the elbows come forward, the moment you're starting to turn it into a lat exercise. Back from the gym now, gonna have my post-workout meal, and gonna give you a little bit of an update as to, you know, how the diet went, and you know what the plan is now going forward. So, as mentioned at the very start of the video, I started the diet as soon as I came back to Spain. I think it was like the Tuesday after I competed at the ab series. Diet, the calories started at around 3,000. Dropped them eventually down to 2,700, and the diet itself like lasted maybe 7 weeks. So went to the festival, came back, and now this week is like the first week where I'm actually like having my calories elevated. So we're doing a reverse diet approach. So reverse dieting essentially is a very cautious way to find your maintenance calories, as well as to find then the kind of calories that you're going to have a good rate of gain at. Okay. Now, I will generally do this if I'm not doing like a quick mini cut, purely for the fact that I don't necessarily feel the need to go straight up to maintenance. Like, as I finished the diet just there, I could have kept going if I wanted to. I wasn't really having like any like negative diet symptoms. The only kind of negative diet symptoms I was getting was my bench press was just sucking ass. But you know, I was still feeling like great energy. My focus was amazing. Wasn't really having like any kind of mad hunger or cravings. So going with the reverse diet approach now, it kind of makes sense because I can continue getting a little bit leaner because I'm still in a deficit up until I reach that point where I'm at maintenance. But it just means I am less likely to like overshoot the mark and gain a lot of body weight too quickly, which I don't want to do, because I do want to have this to be like a slower process. So I do want to kind of not make the mistake that I made last time when I was coming out of the diet phase. Last diet phase, I just gained weight too quickly. I went up from like 90 to 100 kilos within maybe 6 months. I think setting that kind of goal or doing that series like Road to 100 really made me kind of, you know, overshoot the mark a little bit. So now
my calories are gone back up to around 3,000 to 3,100. My weight this week has continued to drop. So I would anticipate next week we're going to have another increase to calories. Now the kind of main changes I've made are to like my breakfast meal. I added in a bagel, I added in a little bit more oats, and then my lunch meal, my meal 3 and my meal 4, they're pretty much staying in around the same because I like the kind of size that they're at. This meal has not changed just yet. So the main calorie increases I've actually made to like my actual meals has been to like my breakfast, which is my pre-workout meal. I haven't really added anything to this, but this is gonna be the next meal that I'm gonna look to increase carbohydrates in, because it's like the meal that I probably have like the least amount of carbohydrates in, and it's post-workout. So having carbohydrates post-workout is obviously gonna be quite beneficial, because you are kind of like starting that recovery process by getting some glycogen back into the muscle cell. Now, having said that, the reason I'm actually not having a ton amount of carbohydrates in this meal is because I prefer to have most of my carbohydrates in my pre-workout meal, and then I prefer to have a lot more of my carbohydrates on my meal 3 and meal 4. After I train, because my actual training sessions are not like extremely glycogen depleting, like I'm doing powerlifting at the end of the day. It's not as if I'm like going through muscle glycogen the same rate as somebody who's like doing like endurance cycling will. And it's not as if I'm having my next meal very, very far away. My next meal is going to be in about 2 or 3 hours. About 2 hours actually, now it's 3 o'clock. So actually not having any carbohydrates in this meal, it's not really going to making a massive difference to the recovery process, especially since I was having some intra-workout carbs while I was training. And if we actually take into consideration how much carbohydrates you're actually able to store within a certain amount of time, like so say within an hour, you're only able to store 60 grams of carbohydrates within an hour. So in my actual breakfast meal, there's going to be about 35 grams at least coming from the likes of the bagel. There's going to be maybe 40 grams or so coming from the likes of the oats. And then we're also taking into consideration honey. We're taking into consideration any type of carbohydrates that are going to be stored from the likes of the tomatoes, mushrooms, raspberries. There's going to be some is going to be carbohydrates, so not all of it is getting stored. And then also we're taking into consideration then the extra 30 to 40 grams of carbohydrates I'm getting from my intra-workout. So the fact that I'm actually not kind of topping up my glycogen stores right away, right now, is not really a massive deal. And ultimately at the end of the day, when you're looking to kind of set up your diet, once it makes sense in some capacity and you're taking off the big rocks at some point, actually not having your carbohydrate, like coming out of diet phase and not having your carbohydrates in this post-workout meal, it's not like the worst thing that can happen. Once you having protein, which is probably the most important ingredient in this meal, and I'm having the rest of my carbohydrates at a later point. You know, it would make more of a difference if I was training later on today. Then I definitely want to get a lot more of my carbohydrates in this first meal. However, because I'm not training until Tuesday, I think I'm going to be okay. So anyway, I'm going to finally get this ready. I can't multitask. So I'm having 350 grams of low-fat Greek yogurt. I'm having some raspberries, and then I'm going to crush up these 2 Biscoff biscuits, some macadamia nuts, and some toasted hazelnuts. So yeah, I'm going to make this. I'll show you when it's done. There we have it now. Absolutely beautiful. All right, so we are back in the kitchen. It's time for yet another meal. So that meal is going to be steak, potatoes and broccoli. So I just have the broccoli just finished now. Cook the potatoes in the microwave, and now I'm going to throw the potatoes and the broccoli into the air fryer because they taste much nicer that way. I had to settle for frozen broccoli because we're out of fresh broccoli. It is a national holiday here, and tell you what, the Spanish, they love a day off. They love a national holiday because they seem to have one almost every second week at least. Well, one thing that like you have to respect is like the fact that like Spain really hasn't like, you know, sold out to like consumerism, in the fact that on Sundays like their biggest supermarkets will just close. Like if you were in the States, the concept of like closing down your supermarkets, closing down all of your stores, on Sunday would be like, just like, they wouldn't be able to conceive that, because that's another day where they could just be making tons of money. Whereas, like, Spain, they care about their people. They give everybody day off. Now, obviously, there is businesses that do open, and, like, those businesses, I'm sure, are fucking thriving, because, at the end of the day, if there's still a demand for people to shop on a Sunday. So anyway, it is a national holiday here, so we're out of some stuff, and as a result, the shop that is open, they're going to benefit, because we're going to shop there, and they charge, obviously, a higher price. So yeah, it's just one thing about Spain, it's they like to relax, they like their holidays, they like to do things relatively slow. If you're Spanish and you're listening to this, don't get offended. Us Irish, we have the reputation of being, degenerates worldwide. So at least you don't have that reputation. So usually I'll put a stock cube in with the actual broccoli to give it a little bit more flavour. However, it didn't actually work out this time. So now I'm not going to have very flavoured broccoli at all. Heavily salty chips. Because I'm using sea salt, and it is harder to spread. It's not like a grinder where you can just like easily get it over. And then a fucking pepper grinder is broken as well. So, having a mare on all fronts here when it does come to making my food for today. Now that we have it all salted, peppered, and garlic granuled up, I add in a little bit of this butter spray. Absolutely banging. Not quite at the point with my calories yet to be splurging out on the real deal, the real butter deal. So for now, we're gonna have to settle for fake. I can't believe it's not butter. The steak doesn't look great on that side. I think I actually had to add in this because I'm also low on steak. So that's only about 100 grams of steak. This is about 50 grams, so that makes up the rest of the protein. We have our air fried and garlic broccoli and air fried spuds. Top of the range. Oh yeah.
So I have a bit of an announcement to share with you all. So part of the reason why I actually haven't been making too many YouTube videos across like the last couple of weeks is because I've been working on some different projects. And the big project I'm working on at the moment is bringing forward a very affordable coaching service. The program is going to be aimed at specifically people who have been training a little bit of time, like, maybe you're in the gym like at least over a year, you're pretty comfortable with doing like your squat, your bench, your deadlift, but you're kind of hitting that little bit of a roadblock where your beginner gains are starting to slow down and you are looking to push beyond that. But you maybe not necessarily in a position where you want like full one-to-one coaching, you don't really think you need it. What you really need is actually the tools to allow you to overcome these plateaus, as well as just like programming done for you. So essentially the way the program is going to work is you will get access to an entire course that's going to teach you everything you need to know about how to get stronger and how to personalize your own training program, as well as personalizing your own approach to nutrition and how to effectively manage your own recovery, and different kind of tools and skills and practices that I would teach my one-to-one clients how to do. And this is all taken from like my years of actually like getting the results myself, working under a number of different high-level coaches, as well as just investing thousands into my own education. So you are going to get access to an entire course, which is going to teach you all of these skills and teach you all the ins and outs of how exactly to continue progressing lifelong. You're also going to get 3 months worth of programming, where the program is going to update every single month. And it's going to take you from going through some more kind of bodybuilding, volume-based work, all the way towards a peaking phase. And you're going to run this alongside everybody else who's going to be partaking in the program, and we're going to do it together. And I'm really looking forward to actually kind of getting this to launch. I'm just in the final processes at the moment of just recording all the course videos. I have the course content actually drawn out. Like, I have almost 20,000 words here written. So what I'll likely do is we're going to have course videos, and then we're also going to have a course booklet, and everybody who enrolls is going to get access to this. So this is something that I don't really know if it exists. Like, of course, like, look, group training, group programs, group coaching, that exists, but I don't know if anybody's doing this in like the strength training space at the moment with this level of extra care. Like, it's not like you're getting one-to-one coaching, but it is pretty damn close, because what we're going to do is we're going to get everybody inside a community group, a community online group, using a platform I already use called Circle. And what I'm going to get people to do is just post in their lifts, post in, you know, their kind of weekly updates as to where training is, post questions, post, which can ultimately, if you ask questions as a group, everybody benefits. But then as well, like, I'll be doing kind of form reviews and kind of form feedback in the actual group itself. So you are getting a lot of care that you wouldn't get elsewhere, and it is going to still be pretty hands-on, but it's going to be a fraction of the cost of my general one-to-one coaching. So if that's something that you're interested in, I'm going to leave an intake form in this actual description, and you can just sign up. And, you know, if you have any questions, you just fire them my way, and I can just answer them. And this is, again, it's still in the works at the moment, so it's not fully completed. So if I get some feedback from people who are looking to join, of course, you know, this is like the kind of time where I can actually start to build things within the pipeline. So yeah, I'm excited to share that. But that's essentially why I've not been making too many of these YouTube videos, because I've spent a lot of time across the last while just like sitting at my desk, just like making out this course. It takes a lot of time. I want to do it well. I want to make this like a really, really solid investment that, you know, everybody who partakes in it can literally have so much knowledge behind them, so many practical tools behind them, that they can just continue progressing for life.
Lovely chicken pie, stir fry, egg, spring onion on top. Not a bad place to go for a walk. Anyway, that pretty much wraps up today's video. So thank you very much for following along. We're back in the saddle, or back in the rhythm of doing the videos again. So what we'll do across the next few weeks, next few months, before I actually launch this course and launch this program, is I'm going to be drip feeding some of the content on here. Not the actual videos, of course, that get inside within the course, but a lot of kind of like the videos that I make so far are just kind of like me kind of living the process. But that's essentially what I'm going to be teaching on the course. Everything, the specific variables, the specific practices for every single thing: training, nutrition, recovery, sleep, how to squat, how to bench, how to deadlift, how to do them all the most effectively and get the best results. So we're going to maybe take a topic each video and just kind of go through them as I'm going through the vlog. And yeah, we're going to learn a lot across these next few videos. So if you've been enjoying my channel so far, make sure to give me a like on this video, make sure to subscribe, and I'll chat to you in the next one.